A wildfire out of control in Northern California.
Fires that scorched Northern California this month were some of the deadliest recorded in the
fire
state.
killed 85 people.
A place staring down the barrel of a hot, dry climate, ripe for spreading
The
fire.
economic toll will likely be devastating too.
The story is about the town of Greenville, which burned to the ground in the Dixie Fire, and about the efforts of residents to rebuild and whether or not they should rebuild.
If we can't rebuild every town that is destroyed by tragedy, how do we choose? How do we have that discussion?
There's also this kind of disagreement on what exactly are we building back? What is the community going to look like?
Our columns are reported. So I go out and I report it just like I did for a news story.
I really wanted it to make it as much about the people there as possible.
Some of it they were going to like and some of it they weren't.
But we also wanted to bring some science to it, right? Things are not going to get better. Everybody agreed on that. The disagreement came in about what you do about it.
We challenge each other's ideas and we make them stronger. She's always a little bit to the left of me. That little bit of tension really sharpens everything that we do.
I think if those elements are in there, I think it makes for a good column.
The columns we wrote, it's not really about Greenville. It's about all the Greenvilles, whether they're on the coast of Florida or in the mountains of California. These are places where people have settled because of the cost of living. The inequity has turned dangerous with climate change.
The way that we fund disasters, we just fund them like they're rare. And they're not rare. They happen all the time now. I mean, right now in California, there have been not one but two presidential national disaster declarations.
When we went to put a dollar figure on how much rebuilding Greenville would cost, we assumed that somebody was keeping track of that. What we found is that nobody is keeping track of that.
Greenville is a town that was not that big to begin with. Last we checked, about 300 people who say they want to move back.
We gathered our own numbers and came up with this $1 billion figure.
$1 billion for 300 people. And the same thing keeps happening. You know, it's kind of the definition of insanity, right?
We've had a lot of feedback from academics and from politicians and people who have read it.
We're starting to see some policies that are taking into account climate change and the risk of wildfire, but it needs to be more comprehensive.
Before these columns, it was kind of a taboo thing. You could never say, well, should we rebuild every Greenville? And I think what these columns did is just open it up so that we can have this critical discussion.